Welcome back. Now the debate of all debates between those two men, Brandon Corey Alexander, local wrestling broadcast personality. Brandon, Hogan, Austin, thank you for joining us. This is the debate that the wrestling world's been having for decades. You're taking Stone Cold Steve Austin. Tell me why.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's impact to my generation is, far greater than that of Hulk Hogan, but we got to give credit where credit's due. There would be no professional wrestling without Hulk Hogan. But I think the lineage of what we see today on television and on streaming platforms wouldn't be here without Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'm going to give mine down to something that I think is overlooked in wrestling. People look about how good of a wrestler are they, or are they good at promos. When I was at the Republican National Convention in 2024, we found out the last day one of the main speakers was Hulk Hogan. And I looked at a bunch of non-wrestling fans, cops, political people all ran to the screen to see Hulk Hogan. I was thinking to myself at the time, if you excluded the president of the United States, Biden then, and Trump at that point, Hulk Hogan might have been the most recognizable person on the planet Earth, or close to it, because you can't not look at that man and not immediately know who it is. So I've been of the big belief that Hogan was such a just a generational image that everyone knew what he looked like, everyone knew who he was, and I think that matters in pro wrestling.
Well, you got to remember that Hulk Hogan is the reason why wrestling became mainstream with The Rock and wrestling, the connection with Sidney Lauper and the WrestleMania stuff and all of that. However, the relatability to me is where the legendary, the iconic status comes from, because you got to think Hulk Hogan was the train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins guy, and then eventually gave up on the fans. He turned, with the NWO heel turn, right?
That's right.
But Stone Cold Steve Austin was more a relatable character to the middle class, the regular person like myself and like my dad, who doesn't want to have a little adult beverage and do a little bit of sign language and then kick their boss in the stomach.
When Austin was at his peak, I was living in the Pacific Northwest, and there was this guy in town, old, looked like us, he was bald, old junky car, and he spray painted black with Austin 316 all over it. And I thought to myself, as much as I thought it was cool, I was like, for a pro wrestler to impact just a random guy to the point where he's changed his whole life, that probably implies Austin did a lot.
I don't know how much you love your car, but it'd be very hard pressed for me to. I'd have to really love something to spray paint Austin 316 on my car.
One of the other things on Hogan is, I think one of the knocks on Austin is his time on top wasn't that long. It was 97-ish to about 04, 7 years. Hulk Hogan was a figure in pro wrestling from essentially 84 to 2000 for the most part, because of that NWO run. If he didn't have that other NWO run, I don't know, he'd be about a 10-year guy at that point. But the NWO just reinvented him, made him the top thing again for a second time. So I personally am on the side of Hogan had more longevity.
Yeah, and it's a catch-22 because Hogan had more longevity, but I feel like Stone Cold Steve Austin did a lot more with less time.
That's true.
So you got to think, Hogan did the whole, again, say your prayers, train, eat your vitamins thing, but one promo by Stone Cold Steve Austin after the King of the Ring generated about $12 million in revenue with one T-shirt that you still see to this day. And that's not to take anything away from those NWO shirts, because I got about 3 or 4 of them in my closet.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
However, Austin 316 says, I just sold you merch. So
before we wrap this up, I want to bring a couple other guys in the conversation. We could go down this road forever, and I don't want to. I think the two other guys who broke to their level of fame is John Cena and The Rock. I don't want to ignore it. I think The Rock is different because as someone recently told me, he is a movie star who happened to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
These are pro wrestlers who became movie stars. But let's talk about Cena.
Oof.
Do you think Cena has eclipsed either of these?
I think that Cena, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time in terms of professional entertainer on both spectrums of both professional wrestling and movies. All 4 men. There's not a single person who is a wrestling fan or is not a wrestling fan who doesn't know the name of The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, or John Cena. You ask any 5-year-old or 55-year-old who any of those guys are, and they will be able to tell you. And I'm going to
say something that's probably unpopular to a lot of people, and you can write to Brandon Corey Alexander if you have a problem with it. I think it's those 4, personally. I always have. You've got Flair, you've got Undertaker, you've got these other amazing wrestlers who are amazing wrestlers. These are the four that I think went beyond.
That's the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
And I'm going to get into the weeds, a guy named Gorgeous George from the 50s, but I'm not going to.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, okay. And particularly in different countries, which cannot be overlooked. Well, Brandon Corey Alexander, where can people follow you?
On all social media platforms, just BCA, JUST, BCA. It's my initials. It's simple to remember. And United States Wrestling Alliance at USWA JAX, JAX.
Well, thank you, Brandon. I say Hogan, he says Austin. If you want to get on our socials and tell us off, you're welcome to. We'll be right back.